Yeah, I mean, essentially, I just finished Star Wars and I needed a break, and I wasn't expecting to be thinking about the next film at all. And we ended up with my girlfriend driving to visit her family across America, and she lives in Iowa, so it's like a 4-day trip through like amazing landscapes. And I put some music on. I was just looking out the window, and we were passing all this like farmland and tall grass fields, and then there was this like factory in the middle of nowhere, and I remember it having like a Japanese logo or something, and I just thought, I wonder what they're building in there. And then in my head I was like, because I love science fiction, I was like, maybe it's robots or something. Obviously it wasn't, but I started thinking, what if you were a robot built in a factory, and you'd never, you were born in this room in this factory line, and then you, for some reason, something happened and you stepped outside for the first time and you saw the grass and the sky. Like, what would you think, was going on? What would you think of the world? And I thought it was a really nice little moment, like a scene from a movie, but not any movie I would ever make. And so I kind of threw it away. And then suddenly had another idea, like, oh, I know what could be happening. Maybe the robot escaped because of this reason. And suddenly all these ideas started forming. And very quickly, the idea for the movie came together. And normally it would take, it can take months, if not years, to figure out film. And it came, by the time we got to her parents' house, I had the whole movie kind of pretty, simply worked out in my head. And it, that's very rare. And so I was like, oh, maybe there's something in this. Like maybe maybe that I could, should pursue this for my next film. I really didn't want to do this movie in a studio against green screen. So we managed to talk the studio into letting us go to, into the real world to shoot real locations. We went to 8 different countries. We went to Nepal, Cambodia, Tokyo, Indonesia, Vietnam, Thailand, and shot in all these, like basically the best locations in the world. We found that if you could make the crew small enough, then the cost of flying anywhere in the world becomes cheaper than building a set, against green screen or something. So suddenly we were allowed to go wherever we wanted. And it was kind of amazing. The biggest problem was with all the traveling. We traveled 10,000 miles. It was kind of exhausting as well. And it was 6 months of filming, and it was just like far too long to make a movie with. But every time we stood somewhere and we're on like the beaches of Thailand or some paddy fields like in Indonesia, you get so excited about what you're seeing and how beautiful it looks. Like all that exhaustion just goes away. And we also were doing it, as we started planning the movie, the pandemic came along, and it was like, oh no, here we go. We're not going to be able to make this film now. And like everybody in the world, this terrible thing happened, and a year and a half went by. But then we were the first people into these countries after the rules changed, and we could go over there and film. And the great thing about that is there was no tourists. So we ended up in all these amazing locations. We were kind of the first ones in. So life was carrying on. People were really happy to see, Westerners again and tourists, but people, stopped wearing masks and were like happy to be out, and kids playing in the street. And so we thought it was really, like, it was very important to me that as a Hollywood film, we didn't come into these villages and environments and like block off the street and push all these people out. Like the best thing about these locations are all the faces and all the crazy randomness, like the little, farm animals and livestock that just run across the street in the middle of a shot and things like this. And so we got very small, and the crew hid out the way, and it allowed us to film with all these amazing actors in these real locations, but kind of keep the village life and the real world flowing through. And then we added, like with Industrial Light and Magic, we managed to add all the science fiction on top. And I think the result is, you get a much more rich, believable, like random world that you don't really see in big epic sci-fi Hollywood films.